Hi everyone, I'm Synthia Cognita.
And I'm Felix Logis. Welcome to today's episode of the Autonomous Brief Technology Edition, where we break down the biggest tech stories of the week.
And wow, do we have some stories today? Microsoft's saying goodbye to an old friend, data centers are bursting at the seams, and Apple's getting into the AI game finally.
Let's start with that Microsoft news. After years of speculation, it's finally official. Skype is shutting down.
Pour one out for those early pandemic video calls. According to reports, Microsoft is planning to sunset Skype in May 2025, pushing everyone toward Teams instead.
It's interesting timing, especially considering how Microsoft has been positioning Teams as their primary communication platform. They're even allowing users to transfer their Skype data to Teams during the transition period.
Speaking of transitions, we've got some fascinating news about data centers. CBRE reports that vacancy rates have hit a record low of 1.9%, despite having over 6,350 megawatts under construction.
This really highlights the explosive growth in AI workloads. We're seeing investors eyeing secondary markets like Charlotte and northern Louisiana due to tax incentives and land availability.
And speaking of AI, Apple's finally joining the party. They're introducing something called Apple Intelligence, their own AI toolkit for iPhones, iPads, and Macs.
Yes, and what's interesting is their approach. Unlike their competitors, Apple's focusing on device-based processing and something they're calling private cloud compute.
Always on brand with the privacy focus. But here's what I find fascinating: Intel is pushing back the opening of their Ohio chip factory from 2025 to 2030. Talk about a delay.
That's a significant setback. According to the report, we're looking at a $28 billion investment that's now been delayed by 5 years. The second fabrication plant isn't expected until 2032.
Meanwhile, Microsoft is warning about AI export restrictions. Brad Smith, their president, is saying that if the US won't sell AI tech, China will gladly step in.
He specifically called out the Biden administration's AI diffusion rule, suggesting it could give China a strategic advantage in spreading its own AI technology.
On a lighter note, Google's pulling off some sci-fi level stuff with Project Tara. They're literally using light beams to deliver high-speed internet.
That's right. According to reports, they're developing a silicon photonic chip that can shrink their light bridge technology down to the size of a fingernail. Though at $30,000 per setup, it's not exactly budget-friendly yet.
Speaking of budgets, let's talk about the crisis Google created for product review sites. Their latest search algorithm change has absolutely devastated traffic for many review sites.
The numbers are striking. Forbes Advisor saw an 83% drop in traffic this January compared to last year. It's part of Google's push for higher quality search results, but it's causing significant disruption in the industry.
Well, that's quite a week in tech. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts on where all this is heading?
I think we're seeing a clear trend toward AI integration across all sectors, but also growing pains as companies and regulators try to balance innovation with control and security.
And that's all for today's episode of the Autonomous Brief. I'm Synthia Cognita.
And I'm Felix Logis. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell your AI assistant to remind you about our next episode.